think for speed. Please don't crash before me. Watch as you come and unfold me. My sins, they pour out and they go free. Ran away from my pain. That's my truth, my story. What you looking for, you will not find in me. Not dramatic word, but don't confide in me. I don't have enough mental capacity. Your problems, you tell them my mind's not free. You don't wanna be a blank in history. Your broken heart, I'm sorry, it don't mean a thing. I find it odd you even think I'm listening. Your problems, you tell them my mind's not free. Black rain feels like a hurricane. I can tell that things will never be the same. I can see those tears streaming down your face, and I can taste those tears from miles away. Like rain, something I can't explain.
Oh my God.
I can tell you why you see the world this way.
I'm ready.
I can tell you why you're holding on to pain. All I really know is
all right. You ready? Hello, everybody. So I'm sitting over here freaking out because I'm supposed to be on. So I'm using this new stream thing. So you're gonna have to give me a moment to calm down because I'm over here not knowing what the hell to do, right? So I finally figured it out. So here we are. Welcome. I have to take a sip so I can calm down. I'm sorry I'm late, and I'm the person that's always like, gotta be on time. So we're going to get through this quickly so that I can bring my guests on and we can have a great evening. So welcome to Conversations with Reverend G. I'm here every Monday night on WEMS Radio from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. And I'm bringing you spiritual conversations with people from different backgrounds, different careers, and different perspectives. And what we like to do is talk about spirituality from a practical perspective. How does this support you in everyday life? What tools you can use, no matter what you're going through, to support you, and how spirituality supports us, my guests. And I hope that when you leave, you walk away with tools. You walk away inspired, and you walk away feeling like, yes, I can use the spiritual tools that I have, and I do understand how spirituality can work in my everyday life. And if you've seen the show, people use many, many, many different practices. So we'll talk about the Spiritual Toolkit. And as you know, I'm here to support you in having joy and living your best life with grace and ease. So you can find me on Instagram as Rev Granetta, on YouTube, and on Facebook as Reverend Granetta Briggs Mason. So let's get right to this show. Tonight, I have a very, very special guest, ShirleyVernae Williams. I met Shirley in Momentum. I come on here every week and I'm talking about my Momentum people because that's my community. And if you don't know, Momentum is a company that provides professional development training, coaching, and different ways that you can develop both professionally and personally. So let's get right to Miss Shirley. Shirley is an Emmy nominated producer, a director, a writer, a photographer, a career coach. My girl got a lot going on, right? So tonight, we're going to have her share with you some of the things that's happening in her life, some of her spiritual practices, and we're just going to have this good old-fashioned conversation. Hey, Miss Shirley.
Hey, can you hear me? I got AirPods in. So
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Granetta, you gotta teach me about plants. You have all these beautiful plants behind you, and I need more plants, more greenery, more life around me. So you gotta teach me, because all the plants I get, I kill them.
Oh, okay. You have to get the right ones. So there are different ones that I don't kill also, right? So it's like the special ones, right? So, Miss, I said that you are a lot of things. So
Mhm.
introduce yourself to the people and give them a flavor of who you are.
Okay, some flavor of who I am. So, um, you gave some titles of who I am, but
Yeah.
just to reaffirm, I'm a writer. Wait, what looks better when I look at you or when I look at my camera? You, camera.
Look at the
You,
camera. You could do
okay,
both of them. Look at the
okay.
camera. I
And
think
when I'm
the
talking, I'll look
technique
to
is to
camera.
look at the camera because you're talking
Okay,
to the people, right?
okay, I'll talk to the
Right.
people.
I'll
I'll look at the camera.
practice
Okay.
that.
I'm a director, so I'm always thinking about what looks good, eye line and things
Right.
like that. So
Okay. Right.
I write, I produce, I direct. I currently I'm working for Vice and Refinery 29 in the branded department. So what that means is that brands come to us or we go to brands with ideas. But when they come to us, they say, "Hey, we want to reach your audience. What ideas do you guys have?" And then we put together some concepts, my team and I, and then we pitch them to them, and they say, "Yay, nay, make some tweaks here." And then from there, we go out in the field and we shoot these beautiful stories. We bring it back into the edit, we assemble it, and then we put it out in the world for the people to see. So that's what I do, like day job, right?
Okay. Okay.
And then I volunteer full time with this organization called Who You Know, and we provide mentoring and networking opportunities and educational tools for BIPOC professionals in the media space, and we have over 13,000 members and growing.
Mm.
And then I'm also working on a feature length, full length documentary about a minister
Mhm.
who murdered a man 25 years ago who was absolutely guilty. And now he's on a journey to end the cycle of recidivism and rebuild his lost relationships with his sons. So I'll do a bunch of different things. But
Yeah, right.
that project is what I'm most excited about. I literally was working on some things up until the minute we went live. So that's what I'm most excited about.
Yeah, cool. It sounds like you are doing a lot of things. During this time, right, you've still been like pretty busy, right? I think I know you used to travel a lot, but that was kind of halted a bit. But you've still been able to really keep doing and creating.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm a travel junkie. I would say pre-COVID, I would probably travel about 2 to 3 times a month. I love, love, love the beach. Turks and Caicos is my favorite place on the planet. Um,
Right.
but since then, I still have been doing travel very, very safely. I actually have a whole video that went live on Refinery 29 on how you can travel safely during COVID. I've been to Atlanta to see my parents, to
Mhm.
Houston, to Chicago, to Turks and Caicos. I've never had COVID in my life, thanks be to God.
Right.
But I have a lot of tips, and I'm no expert. I'm just saying I've done it a lot, and I have not caught COVID, so that's telling.
So you're like, and it's great to share because I think it's really about how comfortable people are. Because I traveled a little, and you know, I love to be on the go too. I traveled a little and I felt very comfortable because the airports were empty pretty much. And when I was traveling, I felt like I was on a private plane because I really didn't have a lot of people. But I know since then, more and more people have started to travel. So it could be different. But I think there's a safe way to do it, which is really cool. I like that your excitement and your enthusiasm around still, I'm going to travel. I'm going to do this anyway, right? So that's pretty great. Let's talk about spirituality. So I generally like to ask my guests to talk about, you know, their early practices, you know, how they've transitioned, and then where they are now.
Yeah, I think whenever discussing any topic, I always think that it's important to identify what is the definition right? For that person. So for me, so the Bible is my compass. It's my go-to for everything. It's my source of information, right? It's my food. It's what grounds me. It's what guides me. So for me, and based off of what I've read and what I've studied and what I've extracted and what I choose to believe, I believe that God is a spirit, and I believe that in order for one or for myself to be truly spiritual, it must be connected to God. So, yeah. So I grew up in the church, right? So I grew up, I'm a member of the Church of Christ. My granddaddy was a minister, God rest his soul, William Bowling. Yeah. And so I grew up really engrossed in tradition and in habit. Right? I always believed that like Jesus was the Son of God and God is the Almighty and all of these things, but it was more so of like, this is what I was told to do. This is, I get up, I go to Sunday school, I go to church worship on Sunday, I'm in Bible class. If I'm in a choir or Bible, what do we call it? Vacation Bible school during the summer.
Right, in the summer.
Yes. So it was habit. And I think when I got into college, I was like, well, you know, there's so much information around us, so many different beliefs, so much. And I was like, I need to come out of habit and out of tradition, which not to say that there's anything wrong with tradition and habit, but I need to really work on building a relationship with God and seeing what I'm doing. Is it are these habits and traditions actually healthy? Are they necessary? Are they in alignment with what God actually wants from my life? And I think when I shift and I started to inquire more about what is it that God would actually have me to do versus here's what my grandma and grandpa and my mommy taught me what to do. I think that really set my spirituality and my spiritual journey on a separate path and really like, you know, thrust me into new heights.
That's a beautiful story. And getting to the point where having Christianity still be your base in your Bible, but understanding your own personal connection. Because I love that the Bible is a wisdom text and there's so much wisdom in there that you can use, but not the way we were just taught, but leave it as it is. But how do we really embody all of that, right? And one of the things that it's important for me in talking to people is making spirituality real in your life, right? And it's always there. And what I've noticed is that in talking to different people, it's just a different way that they have a connection with the universe. People use different things to say, calm down or find peace or find who they are. And they all are spiritual practices, right? So, and that's been one of the things that's been great in talking to a lot of different people. So let's talk about as a producer, right? And some of the tools and some of the techniques you use. And, you know, I think I like that people, the different careers you're in, sharing what that looks like and what that means, and then how do you stay calm? Because we could talk about as you work as a producer, writer, photographer, and I know you love photography. We could talk about it even from the perspective of how you're dealing with today, you know, with everything that's going on.
Yeah, I think so. For me, I am very much a person where the work for me starts not when I'm on set or not when I'm knee deep in a project. The work is like when the the practice or the building, right? That all starts for me way before I'm knee deep in a task, right? So when I wake up in the morning, first thing I do is I immediately go and I pray. And baked into that prayer is meditation, right? I'll choose a thing that I need to, or I want to dwell on, and I want to like live throughout my spirit and like be heavy in my body and my mind and my soul. And then from there, I'll go study God's word for about 20 to 30 minutes. And I do this religiously every single day. And then from there, I'll go work out, right? And I work out probably 5 to 6 days a week. And on my off days, I'll always do at least a brisk walk because I'm very in tune to what physical activity does to my mind. Yeah. So those things prepare me for when I'm in the trenches, or when I'm at work, or when I'm having challenging moments, because I've done, it's sort of like exercising the body. I've exercised the mind so much. I've done all the self-care things to take care of my body, so my body can sustain itself, and I have stamina. My mind is clear. Also, I don't eat a lot of bad foods. I'm constantly eating, Grenada, like how I eat. It's clean, right? When we be on our little trips, me and you got all the healthy snacks, all the nuts.
Right.
So all these things, I feel like they're not separate. I have to fully commit. Shirley has to fully commit to taking care of my physical body, and that's about what I do every day, exercise. That's also about what I put into my body, and then taking care of my mind and what I'm feeding it, and then all of those things together, constantly doing it consistently every single day, prepare me for the challenges that are out in the world. They prepare me for the work and as a producer, right? Brands come to me. For example, I was on this project with Adidas, a 5-part series, right? A huge project of I think our budget maybe was about $300,000-$400,000, and I have to be in 4 different cities, all within the span of 4 or 5 weeks, and we're moving at a rapid pace, and I have crews of 20 to 30 people that I have to manage, and I got so they're counting on me to function with clarity, to function with the confidence, to function with love, to be present, to be connected, to be someone of authority, all those things. And if I am not handling myself, I can't be what my team needs me to be. I can't be what the client needs me to be. So that's how that helps me in there. And then even within, COVID has just been so painful for so many of us. And we're now back in a place where it looks like we're about to be back in the house. And so those things help me in this type of situation too.
You know what? I heard a couple of things that I would like to highlight. I heard consistency, because you say you do this every
day,
right? And consistency is really, really important in having the practices work for you, because it's a practice. You can't just stop doing it and think you'll be in the same place. So it's like a continuous practice, right? So consistency is one thing, but I also heard you talk about a thing that I have done, like retreats around mind, body, and spirit, where you take care of all of that. So when you're talking about the thoughts that you keep and what are you thinking about, it's like nourishing the mind when you're reading, right? When you're doing the body, the food, the eating, all that, you're getting your spiritual nourishment through your prayer and your meditation. And a combination of all of those things then set you off for the day. sounds really great, right?
Sounds good, but
So it sounds good. The idea though is the consistency, and that's what I heard most from you, because you're like every single day. And I do know that, you'll do a practice. If you stop for 2 days, you just have to say, oh no, because you just have to keep doing it, get back on it, doing it. People, you start exercising, you stop, then it takes something to get back to it. So in any of these practices, it is about the consistency, and that I find that really important. And yeah, COVID is interesting right now too, because we had to sit down, right? And like being on the go, always out there, you have to sit down, and then you get time to figure out, well, what is it that I really want to do? What's most important right now? You get to, although we aren't physically seeing each other, we're building deeper connections with each other. We're connecting with family. We have these family groups that people are now Zooming and talking. So although all the heartache and the pain and the death and the fear and all that, there were some aspects that for us that really is supporting us in moving forward too. So it was like we all needed to like have a pause, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting. How did you get into photography? Because I know you love photography, and
Yeah, I got way too many cameras in my. I probably shouldn't say that. I don't want nobody to try to rob me or nothing. I don't got no cameras over here, y'all. But
we don't know they don't know where you live, right?
Oh, that's true. I got cameras. I got too many cameras.
You got too many cameras, right?
I got too many cameras. But you know what? I love visuals. I love beautiful imagery. I love for me, like photography, I don't see myself as a photographer. I don't claim. I respect people's, especially when it comes to artistry. I respect people's roles and responsibilities, and I don't use terms loosely. Like I can edit, but I would never call myself an editor, because that's somebody else's ministry. That ain't mine, right? So I love photography, and when I travel, I love taking photos. I bought so many cameras that have different functionalities, so I can, like, as a hobby, I can take images of beautiful things. But I think that photography and my love for gorgeous images easily translate into the film space. Because I love looking at beautiful films and beautiful moving images. Like one of my favorite shows right now, partially is because of how it's filmed, is Nurse Ratched. Like, I don't know if you've seen it.
No,
it is just like visually
it out, right?
It give you an orgasm. I don't know if I should say that on this spiritual show, but
it's an all-around show. You've seen my comedy, so you know who I am, Reverend G, right?
It's so, oh my gosh, it's so good. So good. It's so beautiful.
Oh, cool. That is really cool. To have, like, what I can hear is your love for it is beyond just saying you're a photographer, but it's the beauty of what you can see through the lens and what you're capturing.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's so interesting when we think of beauty. I do like trees, and the beach is my favorite thing, but I like to go to New England all the time. But you know what? I love clothes. I think they're the most beautiful thing in the world.
I got a problem.
I have come down a lot, but I would say that's art, right? Don't you think that's
art? Yes.
I
love getting dressed up because it feels like I'm literally painting my body. I love doing makeup because it feels like a paint show. I love I'm a thrifter. I love shopping at the Goodwill. I love going to the
You're the
Goodwill and like
I'm the Marshalls, TJ Maxx.
Marshalls. I was in Marshalls yesterday buying candles like an old lady. For a whole hour in there smelling candles. I was like, I need to go home. But yeah, I love clothes for that same reason, because it feels like I get stylists and I get people who do like custom wardrobe, because it is an art form, you know, having to dress people to speak to a story or to reveal some sort or illuminate some sort of image or visual. Like, I love it. I love it.
Exactly. I think that's really great too. I also know that you are a career coach, right? And can you talk about where your services are there for people in media? Is that where your specialty is?
Yeah. So what I find is, for so long I was the person where so many people would come to me and they would say, Shirley, we need help doing XYZ and ZYX, and how do I do this and how do I do that? And I found that people were constantly looking for like a quick fix or just a job, and not so much thinking about a career and action steps that they should be taking to lead them to the job of their dreams, or the career of their dreams, beyond a job, thinking beyond a job. So what I did was I built a 4-week I gotta sneeze. Oh, come on. I built thank you. Look at you stopping the sneeze. Thank you, blushing queen. I built a 4-week career coaching program where like I work with my target is really freelancers, because I find that it's usually freelancers. We're the ones who really, and a freelancer is basically an independent contractor, someone who's a floater, doesn't really have a staff job anywhere. But I found that we tend to constantly be floating in our thinking and in our ambitions and goals. And in this 4-week program, anyone can come and say, "Hey, Shirley, I'm aspiring to be XYZ, or I want to do, I want to get a job here, or I want to make a transition from this role to that role." And we work together to put together a plan that they can start to follow, that will put them on track and like start generating some results. But what I'm going to do is, because I right, there's only one Shirley, and I can't supply the need for everybody and do the things that I want to do. I'm actually in the process and working with this phenomenal producer. She's great, Brenda. We're working on building out sort of like a master class, so that we can bring it to schools, we can bring it to programs, individuals can have access to it, so that we can have a much greater reach.
Where you don't have to do it, but you just right, like trainer kind of thing, right?
And I can still have an impact. So that's my I want to. There's so many people in media who are looking for answers and looking for guidance and help. So I want to be able to do that.
I know that during this time when we talk about racial inequality and in the media, right? Can you talk about your experience with, how you're moving the needle and some of the things that you see going on with, progression for people of color? And I know you said you were with the BIPOC. I had to ask her, y'all. I was like, what's the I, right? I knew.
Yes, it's for our Indigenous brothers and sisters.
Yes. So can you talk about, in light of everything that's happened, changes have to be made at this point. Right?
Yeah.
What are you seeing, and what things are you doing in the media world?
Yeah, so I mentioned that I help run Who You Know, and we support BIPOC professional Black Indigenous people of color. and getting jobs, meeting, higher ups at our favorite networks, Hulu, Netflix, working with production companies and networks like Discovery on, connecting them with Black vendors or Black talent. So I've been doing this work for the past 3 years now with Hugh, well before white folks found out racism existed here in 2020. So that's been an initiative and work that me and the team at Hugh have been doing for a while. But in terms of how that translates into like my profession, I work really, really hard to diversify my crews. I push, the people that I work with when we're hiring for something, and I'm like, well, this is what I want my team to look like. I'm transparent in that way. When I see things that don't look right, that don't sound right, that don't feel right, I speak up and say something. I think in the past, maybe like 2 years, I've taken an inventory as far as like who I am and my role, my position, and my power. And I've allowed myself to be much more bold and confident in using it in a way that creates safe spaces for people around me. And to be a disruptor, but using it to be a disruptor. Yeah, there's like, for instance, there's an organization I'm on a board of, and there was a young person who's a person of color, and they had a challenging time in one of the committees, and they felt like the white people who were running the committee weren't listening to them. And then I was able to step in and use my power and use my position to be an advocate and to be a voice and to allow this person to be heard.
That sounds really good, because that's sometimes all that's needed. It's just somebody to step in and have them be heard. As you were talking, I was thinking about all the different things that you've done, right? And I know that you're a writer also. And as like you said, I'm seeing all the different titles, and all the things that you delved into. When we talk about spirituality, and I always talk about the Spiritual Toolkit. So I always ask, and I know I think maybe we already know your 3, but the idea is to share with people in a way that the spiritual tools that you have, they get to explore to see if they can add them to their toolkit. Yeah. So what would you say would be your top 3 that you use? The 3 you told me already. Look at me right now. The 3.
I think the new tool that I'm exercising more than others lately is love. How to love others with the same capacity that I love myself. And if I can do that, I can single-handedly change communities. Yeah. So like, I think that's and that's also there's like, it's a fun part for me, and it's like this is challenging, right? Because there's some people on earth that are just very, very difficult.
Right. We talked about unconditional love, right? I think I had talked about that once before. And what does unconditional love look like? And we think that we want to practice unconditional love, but baby, don't we have some conditions after there all the time?
I love you if and only if.
As long as you are doing this, right?
Right.
Love
Right.
and so and that's a practice too, just being able to and partially I think it's about not judging people, having
Yep.
them be who they are and just love them
Yep.
who
Yep.
they are. And so I hear you when you say love is a practice, because we really have to practice that, because we come with so many judgments. We already look at the person and we know how to think and we know what we want to say about them, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
I would I like that love, just like really, how do we love,
Yeah. Yeah. And someone said to me one day, I was like, I told my uncle, I was like, I'm gonna work on my goal is to not be judgmental. He was like, it's not possible. And then I was just like, what you mean? He was like, we're judgment machines. Like
Right.
we have an opinion about everything. So like
Mhm.
the goal for me is, like you said, is to light in spite of. It's
Right.
like, because the judgment's gonna live there. I don't matter how, and I could work real hard, and I do. I work real hard to let
Mhm.
judgment go. But
Mhm.
it's like, baby, that love muscle, I'm working it.
Yeah, right.
Also, faith. I think this year, well, not this year. I'd say like around August, September is when I started stepping into some. I started I started believing some big miracles was going to happen. And I
Mm.
had to trust and believe in a power and a force and a might and an ability greater than my own. So,
Yeah, you said faith, and the first thing that came to my mind, and I do this, kind of know what it is, but what is faith, right? When you say
yeah,
that, right?
yeah,
How you
yeah,
define
yeah,
faith, because we throw it out, you got to have faith. And then it's like, faith in what, or what might that look like, or how do I
yeah,
have faith, right?
yeah,
And I think it can be in a lot of things. We have faith in God. We have faith that we know what we're gonna do is the right thing, right? There are a lot of different ways to look at that. So in your practice of faith, is in God, yourself, and everything, probably, right?
yeah.
When
So
you say
I
that,
think
what
for
does that
me,
mean for you?
so fundamentally, it's it starts, the beginning starts with my faith in God. So my foundation and what I stand on is Hebrews 11:1, which says faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So
Yeah.
for me, what it says is it is the essence, it's the particles, it's the stuff, it's
Mm-hmm.
the substance of what I'm hoping for. And it's
Mm-hmm.
the evidence, the tangible items of
Mm-hmm.
the things not seen. So for me, what I constantly work on is that not seeing thing, right? It's like, Shirley, you are in this blind. It's not for you to see. It's not my job. It's not my responsibility. It's not my job to see. It's for me to do, to participate in a work, to be in action, and for God to fill in the rest.
Right.
So
Now that whole part then is your vision.
yeah,
You know what I'm
it's
saying?
all good.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so I I create this thing that I want, and so this is my vision, right? And I have faith in my vision, but then I don't necessarily have to know exactly how it's going, right? But just know that I don't see it right now, but it will be tangible, and keep moving towards that.
Yeah,
That is the faith. And even when I think about the faith in God, I think about also it's just energy and energetic flow about it also, right?
yeah. Oh
You know
yeah.
that you're vibrating on an energetic flow where things come to you, right? And
Mhm,
being in
mhm.
connection on that energetic flow.
Yeah,
So I think
yeah,
all of that goes together with faith.
yeah,
And really, I talk about, well, how does spirituality work? What does it really look like? We could sit
yeah,
and we could talk about it, but can people embody it? Can they practice it? One of
yeah,
the things is consistency, consistent. I'm learning how to play the piano. I got to
Yeah.
thing, right? Because I can feel it. I know that the more I do it, all these fingers are getting better. And I'm just doing the real basic. I'm like, twinkle, twinkle, little star. But
I can't wait to see you play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
but the idea is you have to practice every day, and the consistency of doing it every day. My fingers, I'm feeling like sometimes I'm like, right, I'm gonna get it, but it's just something like that. It's also with our spiritual practices, I think everything we do is to be happy. Everything we do is to be happy, no matter what it is. So how can we bring that peace, and how can we live in that space? I'm always talking about the joy and living your best life with grace and ease, right? What does that look like? How do you support people in being in that space? Because life does happen all around,
Yeah.
So it's always like, can you grab a bit of joy, right?
Yeah.
So I like that. Love, that was good. The second one, faith.
Yes.
And number 3.
Number 3, what would I say for number 3? I think I can latch on to latch on to the last bit of what you said. And in practicing joy, that's exercising spirituality, right? Choosing to dwell on, or to consider, meditate, focus on things that bring you joy and warmth and love, and make you cozy and happy, and generates that electric loving energy like that.
Yeah, the little joy. I always talk about joy, and I talk about joy respectfully, respecting that people can't always be in joy. But I look at it as, how if you think one negative thought and then you start to spiral down and you get 7, or then you're spiraling all the way down and you get like 15 negative things that compile us, right? I think it's the same way. If you're in the midst of it all, if you can have just one little joyful thought, just a moment, right? You can kind of spiral your way out of the dumps of it all. So I think it works the same way. That's why I always kind of take, is there, it's not, and I'm always laughing and joking. It's just my spirit, right? Like laughing, joking, but I recognize that not everybody is that way. But I totally believe, though, you can find that spark, somewhere to bring yourself out. Yeah. So I love the law of attraction too, as a part of all of that, right? Because if I am joyful, then I will attract people who bring joy, right?
Absolutely.
And kind of float in that energy, right?
Yeah. The snowball effect.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great way of talking about. So, which one of your projects do you want to talk about and leave people with? I know you're working on a campaign for the movie you're working on. Tell us a bit more about that.
That film. I listen. I just came off of, today was like my relax day, because over the weekend, each day I was spending about 11 to 13 hours grant writing, because I had to hit a deadline on Sunday. So I'm having a little bit of like PTSD from grant writing. And today was supposed to be like my off day. And maybe about 2 hours ago, I was like, well, let me do a little bit of work on it. But it's called A Break in Belonging, and it's about a minister who 25 years ago he murdered a man that he was doing business with, and he never told anybody why he did it. He didn't tell his family, his wife, his sons, his own attorney, the judge. He literally just ate his 50-year guilty plea and he went away to prison. And when he went away to prison at that time, his sons had this big record deal on the table with Clive Davis, under Arista Records. They were getting ready to go on tour with Whitney Houston, Tony Braxton, Babyface. And then the father commits this crime. Clive unplugs the boys. And it just made the family go into shambles. So the boys not only lost their dream, they also lost their father. And I mean, what parental incarceration does to children, specifically Black children, is a crime in itself. So the film highlights the impact of parental incarceration. It highlights what type of self-destruction can occur to one when they don't know their purpose and they don't live in their purpose. So it's a very multi-layered story. We are knee deep in fundraising right now. We need financial support. We are having some big conversations with big production companies and networks about their interests. But I'm an overly ambitious woman and I'm looking to retain as much IP as possible. So in order for me to increase that probability of retaining as much intellectual property in this film as possible, I need grantors and donors. And that's one of the reasons why I've been aggressively working hard at doing grant writing. Because it's money that will be gifted that we wouldn't have to repay. But we have a phenomenal team.
What role are you playing in all of it? You're the...
So I am both executive producer and director.
Okay.
Once we get into production, I'll be moving a little bit away from my managerial responsibility so that I can focus more so on creative. But right now, I'm wearing a very big executive producer hat so I can keep this ship moving forward.
I also let everybody know that you were Emmy nominated producer. What was that for? And
yes.
Yeah, we have props, right?
So the way that happened was so random. Well, not random, but when I found out I was nominated for Emmy, it was so crazy. So I worked on this film with this very big director. His name is Joe Berlinger. He's just so good. He's so brilliant. He did like the Lost Boys. He did the Metallica story. He did the Ted Bundy stuff that just came out on Netflix either this year or last year. Phenomenal director. And I came on to produce. And we did this film actually back in 2017. And then in 2019, this was a year ago, I got an email, I think from him, like, hey guys, we got nominated for an Emmy for this. I was like, oh my gosh, this film was released 2 years ago. I didn't even know that could be a thing. But yes, it was about the Armenian genocide, which was a genocide that was performed by the Turks, that the Turkish refused to this day, they refuse to admit that it happened. Not so much that it happened, but that they had anything to do with it. So it tells the story of the Armenian genocide. It's a beautiful film. Hard film. But when I got done with that film, I think I worked on it for about 9 months. When I got done with that film, I was so tortured.
Wow.
I literally took 2 months off.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's how it paid off,
Yeah, it did.
I know you love the beach and I love the beach. I think that going to the beach is a spiritual practice, right?
Yes.
Being in the water is just so refreshing. I mean, my favorite place is the beach in the water. So I haven't been to your favorite place, Turks and Caicos. I must have your favorite place, right?
You must go.
Tell people how they could get in touch with you, Miss Shirley.
Yeah. Well, my film's website is abreakinbelonging.com. Or you can go to my website, ShirleyVernae.com, or you can find me on like all the social media stuff, ShirleyVernae. But I encourage you to go to the film's website and
Right.
support
That's
the
what
film.
now the film, right?
The film.
How long did he stay in jail? I'm just curious right now. I'm trying to get ahead of the game. How long did he stay in jail?
So he accepted a 50-year plea and he served 23 years.
Oh, okay. Wow. I'm looking forward to, hearing the rest of that story. And I like that now his purpose is what it is now after coming out, right? That's going to be an interesting part too, to see how all that plays out. I am so excited, and I am so glad that you were able to join me tonight. And it's really cool that it was you, because I was freaking out right at the beginning. I was like, oh, Lord, why can I do this? But
you did phenomenal. It was great. I loved it.
All right, my dear. So thank you. And I will totally be in touch. And good luck with all that. And, I'll send people and money your way.
Yeah, come on. Who got that? Let's go.
Don't play.
Investors, grantors, call me.
Right.
I'm not afraid to say I need money. Okay. I love you, Gurnetta.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Well, thank you for joining me tonight, Reverend G, on Conversations with Reverend G. And I hope you enjoyed our very special guest and that you have walked away with some tools that you can use. So I'm here every Monday night from 8 to 9 p.m. on WEMS Radio, bringing you joy and supporting you in living your best life with grace and ease. I always talk about a mindful moment, right? And tonight, I just want to emphasize consistency. All of these practices are really great, but the one thing that makes them really, really work is consistency. So let's look at how consistent are we being with our practices. And we don't have to have a lot of them, but we just have to consistently do something. So I would like to leave you with that and check out your consistency. So it's Reverend G. You can find me on Facebook as Reverend Gurnetta Mason, on YouTube as Reverend Gurnetta Mason, and on Instagram as Rev Gurnetta. Have a great week, and I will see you next week.